We had a significant reduction in M&R grounds for one-time project fees that were included in the 2026 budget.
Councilman Montano?
So I see on the personnel here, I mean, we basically have 0 for seasonal temp employees. And instead we're adding 2 employees, which I mean, that's great numbers wise, but is that gonna be, 2 employees and $115,000 worth of seasonal employees is, I would imagine more than 2 employees. So.
It was a cost savings. That's, one of the reasons, but not the only reason that we went ahead and added the 2 employees. But I also think it was, the quality or the lack thereof of quality that we were getting from the temp agency. Again, people wanting to work, and then when you factor in the temporary agency, it's even more difficult to get people that want to work. And then you also have, we have to be careful with temporary employees with using our equipment. For liability purposes, for maintenance purposes and everything. And Josh, if you wanna add anything to that?
So I've got, the fleet, or the grounds, maintenance manager and I, discussed this a little bit, with, the selection to add these, employees full-time has certainly worked better, overall, with being able to kind of enforce, policies and those types of things, with this department, again, like some others, it's been a little bit of a staffing issue, retaining employees and keeping them and that kind of thing. Our plan is to kind of hopefully, again, get to fully staffed or as close as possible, and just kind of try to evaluate, over this next year, whether or not there may need to be an addition. We felt that, right now we needed a little more time to see, how well this is working, and then if we need to evolve it a little more, in the future.
I mean, one of my principal concerns, and this is kind of why I brought it up with the cemetery issue, is that, Hillcrest Cemetery, I mean, I got some feedback a year or 2 ago about that place being a mess, about it not being maintained and all that. And I don't remember, and I know when staff addressed it, and I cannot recall whether or not it was a decision to no longer use the temp agency and put our staff, our guys out there, or vice versa. And I don't remember, and whatever it is, I haven't heard anything in a couple of years, so I don't wanna rock the boat. So, I mean, that's where I'm at with it, whether it's a good, whatever it may be. Go ahead.
Do you want me to speak to that?
Sure.
Okay, so, you're right, I did, always get a lot of complaints. Hillcrest is especially complicated because of the amount of walls, and, you can't fit a riding lawnmower through them, and we were having, especially with the temps, a lot of, equipment running into and knocking weekend, bricks off. Since, Ethan came forward, who's in grounds,
Right.
the manager came forward, and we got on with Alternative Environments, and they come on a very set schedule. They do the front, I believe, once a week, where the sign is next to the highway.
Right.
And then it is, every 10 to 12 days, within the cemetery itself. I have had far fewer complaints or, having to make repairs to the walls. Now, our guys in-house, they do, Garden of Rest, and they do the Old Town Cemetery, and such as I had a funeral scheduled last Saturday, and so they, came out to make sure that everything was cut and everything was good and prior to the funeral. But in terms of what's going on, I've had far fewer complaints of damages or of,
And that's, so,
tall grass,
so
other
that's
than
with
when we were
using-
raining a lot, yeah.
and that's with using alternative environments.
Within Hillcrest,
Within
because
Hillcrest, right.
Hillcrest for our guys, to do that would take them off of
a lot of other projects.
everything else for about 3 days.
Right, which is another thing, which is why I recall, I think, why we use some of these contractors for some, and so, I mean, so does this essentially, by pulling this down to zero, are we saying we're no longer gonna use alternative environments or other contractors for Hillcrest, or?
No, that's just temporary employees.
Okay.
The contracts for like alternative environments is under maintenance, grounds maintenance line items. And it may be for, depending on the department, it could be at the mill, or it could be within this department.
Yeah, Amanda would have to.
Most of the grounds maintenance, all the alternative, contracts, and I think we've got a couple other, groups that do stuff for us, is all under grounds and M&R maintenance. M&R grounds maintenance, I think, is the line item.
Alright, thank you very much for that.
Any other questions? I think you'll be a minute, cause we're at Parks and Rec.
If you have stormwater.
I do have some.
Well, you get a little bit of a break.
All right, Parks and Recreation, the admin department has an operating budget of $748,000. They have 3.5 full-time employees. The Capitol Shirley Marchman Park, total cost is $1,018,000. That's gonna be paid for by Carol Sploss and the general fund. There's also money in fund balance from from the grant, and then the developer of the Arbors also owes us some money on that park.
Can you specify what the grant is?
The grant was the Norfolk Southern grant, $50,000, from a couple years ago, so.
And then the Arbors, their
There was a
grant.
development agreement where they agreed, because of the land swap with what was Claycorn Park, to give money towards building a new park.
It was 30,000, right?
I think so.
30? Yeah. Okay, sorry.
Alright, so we're also in this department adding a 2026 Ford Explorer that's replacing a 2011 with 113,000 miles for $36,000. That's gonna be paid for with Douglas Floss. We're adding a portable concession stand programs trailer, for $16,500, and that the programs trailer will be able to be loaded up with equipment and driven to neighborhoods and have like a portable programming. And then that we're also adding a senior and programs pavilion at Gold Dust for $45,000 from the general fund. In 2026, we added to this a part-time facility coordinator position, and that's reflected up there. We reduced M&R grounds due to one-time projects at Gold Dust. We increased the bank and credit card fees in this department also based on more transactions due to additional programming and rentals. And then there's also been a reduction in operating supplies because they are trending lower.
Councilwoman Conte?
Quick question, so the senior van, that's not on,
It's in the
There's
senior
other ones.
department, so but Parks and Recs has about 4 departments.
alright?
It's coming.
Any other questions? Moving on to athletics.
All right, the athletics portion of Parks and Recs has an operating budget of $931,000 with 8.5 full-time employees. There's a 3% increase from 2026. Capital, they're getting the F-250 that can pull that trailer out of Douglas Floss. And they're also getting the robotic athletic field painter, which I believe they're all really excited about, and that's coming from the general fund. And we're doing a lease purchase on this because it has a maintenance contract. That's gonna be $11,000 a year for 6 years. In 2026, we had a part-time pickleball coordinator position that was added when the pickleball courts were completed. M&R grounds, we reduced this year, due to prior year one-time expenses, mostly related to the pickleball courts and all of that out there. M&R equipment, there was a reduction due to the purchase of the new truck. We're getting rid of that one with a lot of miles and maintenance expense. M&R grounds, we added some additional funding of $12,000 this year. And then small equipment includes lease payments for that, capital robotic field painter.
Any questions from council? Councilwoman Conte?
Is this the spot to ask about the basketball court? Can I ask about that in this area?
I think so.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking where, I was thinking, yeah. Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay, do we have any future plans to like renovate the courts out there in Goldust? I know we did, I believe, the benches, but the court itself.
As a matter of fact, we do. We met just this morning with, a potential vendor to redo the floor.
Awesome.
So, that RFP, I believe, will be open this week. So hopefully, soon on the council agenda, you'll see where you can award that contract, so. That will be I mean, we've painted, we put up new padding, the new bleachers, and.
They look nice, I love the bleachers. Thank you.
Yeah, they're very nice, and then the flooring will be, you know, so it looks like a whole different place.
Thank you
Guys
so
have done a wonderful job in there, so.
Thank you.
And just for the record, because they already approved it in the budget, we
You
don't
won't-
have, we won't have to bring it forth, so we won't have to wait until the meeting to award it, we can move on. That's part of the policy that we changed, is if y'all approve it in the budget, we can still follow our purchasing process and policies, but we don't have to wait and make it to another meeting, we can forge ahead.
Awesome.
Tracy, while you're up here, I'm gonna back up just a little bit, to the Shirley Marchman Park again. Do you have, I would like clarification on exactly what is included on the plans for the park.
Okay, good.
Sorry, Tracy, I
That's
just put you
okay.
on the
I
spot,
can tell
so it
you
may not
from
be you.
memory, from a workshop, what was presented to you guys, but I don't wanna miss anything, so I believe there might be a conceptual design perhaps, maybe?
There's been some misunderstanding on exactly what's included in the park, so I just wanted it to be part of the public record that a dog park and pickleball courts are not part of the plan, and exactly what it is that is going to be this $1 million park.
Yes. You can see from the concept, and again, it is still concept, we're gonna have a public information open house. But this was something that was derived after the engineers, Mark Till and Falcon, went and looked at the property to see the topo and everything, what would be the best use. And you can see that there's a, pavilion, a playground area. Thank you. And then there are some, basketball courts. Two basketball courts. Then you have some open space, and you know, if y'all remember when we had the last workshop back in March, we debated about different ideas of having certain, maybe having a soccer field or something like that. Then we decided, hey, it may be better to keep it open so that it's more usable for different things. And so you have the open space, but then you also have the walking track that goes around, and of course your parking and everything, and then there's a pavilion in between the basketball courts and the playground. So that is,
And restrooms.
and restrooms, yes, yes. So that right now is what is in the concept plan, and that we would be taking and, showing in the, public information open house.
Wonderful. Thank you for bringing that up. Councilman,
We did, I know we did talk about for the playground about using that, that rubberized. If you guys, and I did not get out of the vehicle, but my wife, we just kind of killed time, and we went down to the, new playground that they're building at Hobbs Farm in Carrollton. It is very nice, and that is essentially what we need to be building. I mean, for all of our playgrounds, we need to get to that point. But yeah, it means covered. It's got a small area for smaller kids. It's got an area for larger kids. It's got, it's very, and I would love to see that here, and then integrate that in all of our other playgrounds too.
What's the name of the park?
It's the Hobbs Farm
Hobbs
Park
Farm.
in Carrollton. It's not open yet officially. They still have the like the barrier, but you could just see like it was good, very premium,
The
And-
rubber,
the
the
rubberized,
rubber,
yeah,
flooring,
yeah, flooring, whatever
it's
it is.
very expensive, but the mulch is awful with kids.
Right, and that rubberized is great for
Especially
like,
next to a splash pad.
Oh, gosh, yes.
yeah, I mean, the rubberized is great for kids that have a hard time walking on the mulch, but also like kids who have sensitivity issues and stuff like that. So, you know, yeah, we could make that a priority, and, you know, we'll see what the public open house says, obviously, but
Yeah.
I think that should be a,
Makes it more accessible to
Right.
to children who
mhm.
may be in wheelchairs or
Right.
walkers or whatever the case
Right.
may be.
Tracy and I spoke about it, and I know, I saw it posted on social, we'll have to go back to see. I know it was a partnership, there was a lot of sponsorships and all that with that playground.
Right.
Probably due to the cost, you know,
Sure,
of everything,
yeah.
but it was to make it more accessible for all the you know, for the
Yeah.
children, ADA, all of
Also,
that.
it's very diversified.
Very inclusive.
Mhm, mhm.
It's very inclusive, which is, Jennifer and I talked about, you know, our playgrounds, and this Shirley Marchman Park is the standard that we need to set. You know, we're fortunate to have playgrounds, but we only have 2 community playgrounds. Everything else is in a school or in a HOA or a subdivision, so we only have the 2. And when we did our comprehensive master plan, back in 23 or 24, you know, that was one of the things, was upgrade our playgrounds, add more playgrounds, so we're gonna do those things like we're trying to upgrade other things, we need to, from the ground up, because your accessibility begins at the ground,
Mhm.
Right.
so.
And I asked,
Change the subject, I'm sorry, go ahead, Jennifer.
I'd asked Tracy Jarvis to come up here because just like most of our projects, him and his team are gonna be the ones that's gonna be doing a lot of the work to save us a lot of money, cause while this project has $1 million price tag, if we contracted it out to somebody outside and it not being done inside, then it would be very expensive. So any particular comments you wanna make or any questions y'all may have for him regarding this concept?
So basically, when we, did our due diligence on pricing this out, you know, versus what a contractor wanted, I think it was like $2.2 million on that, but we kind of went off this concept, you know, so, we did, make some tweaks from the workshop, putting irrigation in. You know, and I guess the sky's the limit on, you know, if we can get sponsors to do the rubberized, you know, playground and stuff, that'd be definitely an upgrade, and playground equipment too is very expensive, so I think we had, I don't know, $50,000-$60,000 in there for playground equipment, but, I mean, you can go, you know, just depending how bougie, I guess, you wanna go,
Well,
and
50 or 60,000 for, commercial grade playground equipment's not gonna
yeah,
be
yeah,
very
you're gonna
big
get more
piece.
than what it's shown drawn on there, like, we didn't go with that bare bones minimum, right? But that's what I'm saying, but also in figuring these things, I figured things high, right? Because you wanna have some built-in to make adjustments. I think I added 15%, for overruns, so, you know, there's $40,000 that if we really stay on a tight budget, that we could upgrade some of these things also, you know.
To make it bougie.
To make it bougie, right. And, we'll do, you know, streets department will do a great job. They'll put in the parking lot, and we'll manage all the, stormwater and curbs and do all that stuff, you know, in-house. We'll build the restrooms in-house. I've already got a price on doing really nice basketball courts, like same company that did our pickleball courts with the same nice 10-foot fencing around it, lighting around it, you know, the painted line, you know, really nice. Not going cheap on any of this stuff, so. You know, independent, you know, we get to the workshop, if you guys want to see something you wanna add, and then we may have to tweak some things to accommodate for them numbers, to stay in that budget that we've proposed for this.
Do we have a rough idea of when the construction on this will begin? Oh, sorry. I beat you
We
to
need to
it.
plan the open house.
Mhm.
And so, you know, we need to get, everybody's schedule on when that would be the best time to do that. And I think correct me if I'm wrong, I think y'all estimated about 6 months.
Yeah, in a perfect world,
Yeah.
no, you know, weather good, no rain, you know, if we can get all the departments, cause utilities is gonna be involved, putting in the sewer and the water, public works, of course, with that, just, you know, coordinating really well together. But yes, yes.
So we don't have a date yet,
No,
because we need to
but-
kick off with the public meeting.
It's, to
And
me,
schedule that.
the process of building this would be, similar to doing the pickleball courts, except the topo here is a lot better, so we don't have to do,
Cause part of it's already been graded,
oh,
or all
it's
of
pretty
it.
flat,
Mhm.
yes.
Well, I'm in favor of moving forward with this sooner rather than later.
I know all of our people are very excited,
Yes.
so anytime we get a bill, we're excited.
Well, good, so then they are ready and on board too, let's do this.
You just gotta show me the money, right?
Well, that's Jennifer, you gotta talk to Jennifer about that part.
We'll start whenever you guys say start, we serve your pleasure.
Well,
I've
we've
made a
got,
note.
we've got this in the budget and we're,
The next step is the public information open house, so we'll start looking at our schedules and get that on the books.
and once we do the open house, then we will start construction
We'll
after
do the
that.
open house, see what the comments are, if there's any change to the concept plan, and then really get real plans and engineering plans completed, so that our guys will
So-
know.
With,
Knowing him, he's gonna do it. I got faith in him.
I do, so.
We can, yeah, I think, yeah, as far as engineering plans, we're probably good.
You're good with that? Yeah.
We'll just tweak what we got to save money,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if you're good with that.
Yeah.
So if someone were right here, right now, saying, when you gonna start? We have the, I see you laughing at me. You have the meeting, that's over and done with. At that point, they're up here demanding, when you gonna start? When do you think that roughly, month-wise, we can start?
All right, let me throw this out there, just so that we know priorities. We would need to know, or the guys would need to know, what is the priority, because we have they're also helping with the Community Arts Center. They're also gonna be helping or doing the expansion of the green room and the, restrooms and all that. Yeah, the Main Street offices, so we would just need to sit down and say, okay, let's put these in priority order so that they would know this is what we need to do and what we need to accomplish and when.
With the, I guess Gold Rush would be the I mean, it's not like you're gonna have, for me, this is a top priority. So I would like to see this done sooner rather than later, and I already know, I don't even have to wait on Miss Shirley's response there, it's one of her top priorities too.
I mean, it was thought about, started before all this other stuff.
For sure.
Very
For
good point,
sure.
very
And
good point.
To your
For
point,
sure.
these projects won't set and wait. In other words, we'll bring them along at the same time. We can bring them along at the same time, but we do need to know which one starts first and, cause there's.
They are all important, so let me not diminish any of the other projects.
But no, Ms. Shirley brings up a good point. We've been talking about this, and the others have been discussed later, so.
Well, and that's why I'm asking too, I'm kind of pressuring you for a little bit of an answer, of when we can start this, cause we have been talking about it for a long time and nothing, the community hasn't seen anything yet. They've heard lots of talk about it, and the misunderstanding, has been that there's going to be a dog park and the pickleball courts, and that's not what is needed or wanted in, this community. So, and yes, those things were discussed in the very beginning, so I will give credit, to them with that. That's where the miscommunication has come from. That was the plan. But it has since been changed to basketball courts and a playground and restrooms as this community has asked for. So my point in saying all of this is just, there's been a lot of talk and nothing, they haven't seen any sort of progress. So I would like to see And not to diminish any of the other projects, but I would like to see this one as a top priority.
Moving forward.
That's just my opinion, I'm one of 5.
There's a lot of things that can be started in-house here that won't have to go out for RFP, which slows things down. There'll be 3 major components that will have to be RFP, and that'll be, of course, the basketball courts, will put us over that threshold. Playground equipment would be another one, and the asphalt. I think, all the concrete work and whatnot will stay under the RFP portion.
Well, we also got those unit prices already from the sidewalks downtown, so
Yeah.
we would be able to use that for a year.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
that helps us out too. So, yeah, a lot of the beginning stuff that we would get started with was the unglorified stuff, the grading, the
As long as they
seeker
can see
stormwater.
something.
Yes, the movement out there, right, can be
Yes.
started relatively quick.
I mean, we don't want just sidewalks or whatever there for, with nothing else, but they can at least see some sort of progress being made. Councilman Montan?
I was gonna say, I mean, based upon, talking about those other projects, with the exception of maybe the green room, like, even the green room is kind of an indoor project, so that could be a
Correct. Rainy
December,
day.
January, cold, whatever, but I feel like if we could, we're about to hit kind of a dry season, so, if we could do that public information open house in the next 30 days or 45 days, and then October, November, and then maybe we can shoot for like a June 1st opening in this thing. That'll coincide when school gets out. I mean, maybe that's too aggressive, I don't know, but. I know it's super fast.
Kill me, right?
Look, he's not there.
Not holding you to the stone, but I mean, that's what I'm thinking. You said 6 months, and we're about 8 months away from 6 months.
I'm giving you the best case scenario now.
I
The
gave
worst
you
case.
said 6, I gave you 8.
But in
For the record, I wanna state, Tracy said 6 months.
For the record, yeah.
You give me the resources, I'll deliver.
Oh, yeah!
October 1st,
I
we
like
can get the
it.
resources October 1st.
Hey, this is being recorded, correct?
The good news is I'm old enough to retire, so this.
No, absolutely not.
You're not going anywhere.
One more up here and I'm out.
Any other questions for council?
I have a comment,
Okay. One question for Tracy real quick, or whomever.
Go ahead, Tracy, you handle it. You've done so well.
My question, real quick, what about Powell Park? Are we doing anything with that?
Not,
Cause it looks terrible.
there's some, 10 to 11 care, it doesn't need it, we just,
I
it's
love
our
when you
lease,
said that, yes.
it's our lease rented. You know, we've put some money, significant money in upgrades in the North Avenue venue, which is our nicest.
Mhm.
The Civic Center is the largest, so it's probably along our second most popular. Powell is our least. If I had to give up a facility for rental, it would be Powell.
Wow.
Just if we had to use it for, more programming, which
Yeah.
we could, or if it were to be made into additional offices.
Cause it's turning kinda like into an eyesore, and I'm like, oh, this is bad.
We may have some money in this year's budget. I don't know. I can get with Nick to see if there's any, remaining funds.
Give it a ball,
And I don't
something.
know, just something.
Yeah.
But we know it needs some attention, so.
But I think a lot of our facilities need some TLC.
Equally.
So I don't, so I don't,
Well, I noticed that one because we go to vote there, like, it's like,
Right.
it's heavily used. like,
again,
in
this is
certain-
one of those where, I'm by no means making light of what needs to be done there. I just know that we have a lot of facilities that do need some TLC that people have definitely made note of. So yeah,
Just throw it out.
I do.
I'm with you though.
Because it's about to be, they're about to see it again in November when they go vote, like, it's like one of those spots where just keep it looking decent because it's heavily used for other things. So, that's all I'm saying.
If I can speak
No,
for,
I'm not disagreeing.
if I can speak to Powell a little bit, I think, based upon some of the feedback that we received back when the WIC building was gonna be moved there, and originally it was supposed to be in the back or it was out front. You know, that neighborhood is kind of established and kind of aging. And I'm just curious as to like, maybe we do need to kind of do some sort of research or study to figure out what to do with Powell, because, you know, at one point in time is where the baseball part, and maybe we just take all those fences down and just make it a flat, open area? I mean, how much would it cost to take something down?
We can tear up stuff easy.
You know,
It's just building it back.
I heard, you know, at one point in time, I think there was a conversation, and you and I may have had it, but maybe putting a dog park over there. I don't know if that, I don't know if something that's gonna draw a lot of high traffic to that primarily residential
Right.
area is going to be something, I don't know, maybe we need to do a survey of just that local area, cause it really is one of the only parks that we have, and surely Marchman Park would probably be the other one, where it's right nestled in a neighborhood. The V-Plex and Gold Dust, you both have to hop in a car and drive to get to. And that's an interesting thing on how our Parks and Rec department, because if you drive in Austell or Mapleton, you're driving down house, oh look, City Park, house. That's the only one that we have that's like that. That's kind of in that traditional city park environment. So maybe we do need to have an open house down there to figure out what we're gonna do with Powell, what the neighborhood would like it, because it is the city's park, but it's the only park that's a neighborhood park, besides Shirley
Yeah,
Marsh
and
Park coming online.
You know, have some historical, you know, value. It was where the swimming pool used to be.
Mhm.
It was the art center at one time. But it is in that neighborhood that's established, and that's one reason why we opted to go another direction on the pickleball course. Those folks it would not have been, that was
Right.
not the place for that. Because it's a quiet, established community, and
It would've been live.
and very narrow entrance and
Yeah.
roadways, and it's next to a cemetery, so, I mean,
It's
there's
wedged,
some,
yeah.
there's some definitely, challenges, you know, I can't either, but noted,
Okay.
duly noted.
Any other questions? Alright, so I think that we.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Oh, sorry,
No, I was
Tyler.
gonna say, and circling back around to, the planning of the projects, and I am a certified project management professional, so all of the projects are priority. I think the best way to tackle them, usually in PMP, is always a SMART goal. It's always based on, you use the SMART goal method, but when do you want each to be, completed? So if you say, like the park, we want the park to be, summer 2027, then we put a completion goal to each one and then work our way backwards using the SMART goal formula. And then that would basically determine from, Tracy's perspective, you know, cause I mean, his team, and they're trained to work on multiple projects at the same time. So, the SMART goal formula would allow them to be able to know, or Jennifer, you know, how to manage it along the process. And every project gets his attention and, you know, and requirement that is needed to be completed. Yeah, just FYI.
That is
Yeah.
good to know.
Mhm.
8 months.
So looking back at when we started the pickleball courts, which, Mr. Dukes did his first grade in August 7th of 25, and then we opened
April.
in April, so probably looking at 8-9 months on that project.
Perfect.
So it's similar, and I love what you said there, setting the end date and then working back.
Mhm,
I
yeah.
never looked at it like that, but that's great.
Yeah, when you use it, you know, the SMART goal method, it makes it specific, measurable, attainable, result driven, and time sensitive. So that answers the questions. You know.
Yeah, so we.
Cause I agree, all of the projects are important. That's why I said I wasn't trying to diminish any of the projects, cause yes, they are all important. This is just one of those projects that we continue to talk about, and it just hasn't happened yet.
Mhm.
No progress,
And when you,
exactly.
yeah, when you use that method, you can work on multiple projects, then it becomes a program management instead of a project at that point. Yeah.
Right.
But, I mean,
We
there
have
are-
our program manager as we speak.
Well, there are two kind of things in my mind, which why I shoot, I mean, I said that, you know, school getting out June first, but, well, Tracy, I mean, do you know about when that, the housing development over there is, like, when do you expect that to come out of the ground? I mean, they're pretty much done with the site work, it looks like. But you're gonna start seeing people in those homes probably this time next year, right?
Which project is that?
The one right, like, just right, that Fortune, or
Oh.
Bishop Parkway, yeah, those,
Yeah, so we'll,
what's it called, Fortune's Cove or Founder's Cove or
yeah,
whatever it's called?
so part of that project, we'll start seeing people move in, I would imagine, within 6 to 7 months from now.
Right, so,
Yeah,
so I'd be saying like, by, you know, like June or July of next summer, you're gonna have people living in there, and then you're
Correct.
also gonna have, you're gonna be pretty close to the Parkway being done,
yes.
based upon the current schedule, so, I mean, that's why I'm saying, like, this is supposed to be kind of a gift back to the community, give back to the community is parking, so like, everything kind of just coming in at the same time would be, I think that's kind of like what I envision, is kind of, but,
Yeah, that sounds great. We'll do what you guys want.
I'll get with Tracy and we'll get smart about it. And, we'll come up with those deadlines, how about that? Mhm.
Alright, I believe that we are at programs and events, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Programs and events has a operating budget of $670,000 for full-time employees. This is a 15% increase from 2026. Additional events require additional overtime funding, so we've added that to this year. Advertising was increased for 2026 for the 20th anniversary of the July 3rd event, and so I've reduced that back for fiscal year 27. Contract labor is being increased, but the associated revenue account will also be increased. Contract labor is 70% of the total revenue. Additional classes and events are being added almost monthly, I believe, instead of each year, so.
Any questions for, yes, Councilwoman Conte?
Thank you, Madam Pro Tem. Just a quick question. Just wanna make sure that, I know this is 4 employees. Is that the goal, just to have for full capacity for 4 employees? Or is there a wish list for more employees or part-time employees? Are we good with that status?
We have 2 full-time programmers and we do have 1 vacancy. And then our, she's our customer service rep who does a whole lot to help the event folks with, developing props and decorations and those things. You know, our events are at a different level. And
I know, that's
always
why I'm
said
asking.
settle down a
I
little
think y'all
bit.
need some more employees or something.
But we're getting by right now and we don't have really a place to put anybody else.
Okay.
There's still some things, from a department-wide set of offerings that I wanna see us do. And I believe we got the team that can do that, and then once we deliver that, then we'll be asking for additional people.
Okay, thank you so much.
Can we can the Dorsey Country get a little bit more advertisement from the city?
I believe that's the plan this year, Ms. Shirley.
Yeah.
Along with the tourism, with, you know, we bring a lot of folks in here from, not just from further than 50 miles, so, and that's what tourism is, you bring folks in and farther out than 50 miles so that they hopefully stay in a hotel and
Yeah.
do some shopping while they're here, so, that is one of the things that the Convention and Visitors Bureau has discussed as well, and I know we'll be bringing Karina into the fold on that, moving forward too, so.
I see a lot about us being affiliated with the National Convention. We have a lot of people from St. Louis, from
Right.
the different states that's in the convention with us, that comes down and stay in hotels for the festival. So,
I think the development of the green room and the expansion of that is gonna make a huge difference in our events moving forward. So that should help address that as well.
I think you're good. Any other questions? Alright, so we are at library.
she's saying,
Oh, me? Oh, you got your turn.
I'm not doing yours. No.
Alright, our library has an operating budget of $710,000, 8.5 full-time employees, and we are adding, a 0.5 this year that's proposed. For $12,800 plus $979 in benefits. Funding has been added for a children's room mural, to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the library building. We've put in there $12,000 for that. And then we've also added some contract labor, for transforming the computer lab space into a maker and innovation space with instructors. That, we added $9,000 for that.
And I would like to ask, if Rachel could come up and kind of give us a brief description of that last item.
Oh, sure, okay. The Makerspace in Residence program, this idea, a lot of libraries have a makerspace on site, it's very trendy. It offers new things to the community, it offers more access to the community. A makerspace, an innovation space, some call them stream centers. But it is, pretty expensive to kind of run something like that because you have to have someone who can teach and understands technology and understands art and understands printers and then can service all of those items. So instead of just kind of going forward with a program of that scale before we kind of know the community's appetite for that, we're proposing to do a maker in residence program where we have somebody come in part-time. They will be tasked with creating equipment policy, managing equipment, teach relevant skills, and then maintain interest in the space for that particular art form. So we bring someone in for 3 to 6 months, depending on what we thought that they were capable of doing, in particular kind of art form or technology space. And then that they would just be focused on that thing, and then we offer programming on that, see how the community felt about it, and either extend them or move on to a new art form or new technology. And we want to transform that computer lab. Do y'all know where the computer lab is? You go all the way up the ramp. It's not used very much for other things, so we actually got a grant from the state to, instead of have the computers be stationary, we got laptops on a cart so we can roll in, still do the computer classes, but also make it a more versatile space so it has more opportunity, because we have a space issue in general in the library. We're running out of space, so we want to make sure that we're maximizing every single inch of it. So that's kind of the way that program is imagined. So it would be $1,000 a month for that person, and then we would start in January so that it would be more of a 9-month program. And if it works, what's great, what I feel like is great about it is it's iterative, it's flexible. If it's not working, we don't have to do it. If it's working great, we can either do a whole another 12 months of it, or we can increase it. And we have that flexibility if we do something that's a little bit more like dipping our toe into it. So that's what we're thinking. Any questions for me?
I just like the idea that I'm not the only one that uses my hands. That makes me feel better.
Thank you.
Alright, so, I mean, I think I know, I guess a maker, is that similar to like the creators? Is that similar to that, or is that something more, is this something different?
We try to keep it pretty broad. So
Okay.
instead of saying artist in residence or technologist in residence, we wanted a word that would kind of, that you could go in any direction. So we could have somebody teach painting who was an excellent painter and could kind of take it to that next level for us. Or we could have somebody who does 3D printing, and then their task would be to identify the right 3D printers for us, identify the right equipment for us, and they would be in charge of the policy around it, as well as teaching that product.
Okay. It's a little bit different than I was thinking, but it's more, almost like a traditional art, but I was thinking, like this was like a social media creator kind of thing.
It could be, that is an option on the table, yeah.
Okay.
Podcasting was also,
Podcasting,
yeah.
okay,
Exactly.
Any other questions?
I don't have a question, but a statement. I just think you're doing awesome. I love how the library always got stuff going on. You guys always make sure that it is flourishing. It is very busy, as you stated. I definitely understand what you're saying, that it's busting at the seams as far as, I guess in the near future, we're gonna have to look at possibly remodeling or doing something with the library, because you guys utilize every nook and cranny space. When I'm trying to reserve something, like, 30 days out, or I'm like, okay, let me try to talk to Ms. Rachel.
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to commend you, as director, you do an awesome job, your team is really great. Even before I came, a council member, they're very helpful, customer service is great, I've never had any type of negative experience, so I love the library, you guys are a zen by itself, very peaceful, great energy in there, so thank you.
Thank you. I have a great team. And we saw 80,300 people in the last fiscal year. So
I believe that's
wow, that's a lot.
They're always good.
Yeah, you guys do have a lot of events going on all the time, I love it.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I agree with what you said.
Thank you, Rachel.
All right, thank you, Rachel. Senior Center?
Senior Center has an operating budget of $388,000 with 4 full-time employees. That's a 3% increase from last year. They have capital that, Starcraft All-Star, 27 to 24 passenger wheelchair bus for $142,000. We budgeted for additional funds in food line item due to increased prices and participation, so we put an additional $3,000 in there. Three Rivers reimburses the city using federal and state grant funding for senior meals. They are also a great partnership and offer grant funding for equipment and other items when available.
Questions? There is the bus.
I see it.
Yes. It's there. Any questions from council? All right, moving on to stormwater.
All right, Stormwater has 2 full-time employees. Oh, yeah, it's gonna skip a couple pages. We'll come back to stormwater. We'll start with utilities. So,
150.
utility administration has an operating budget of right at $840,000, and that's a 14% increase from 2026. With the proposed deputy director, it will have 3 full-time employees. The capital for this department is the customer service capital, which I've already kind of mentioned when we went over customer service, which is the meters, the antenna reading, adding the additional 2 antennas, and then also the F-150 that will be for the deputy director. All of those things will be funded from the water and sewer fund. The budget includes the director at $95,000 plus $10,000 in benefits and $3,000 in supplies. We also added some additional monies to the technical line item for the AMR software, and that's the software that powers those antennas, for the meter reading capabilities. Their technical line item is also used for Brightly, which is a utility asset management system, and the GIS. So that's $85,000 total.
Any questions for staff? Councilwoman Constance?
Thank you, Madam President. Just a quick question. When are we looking to fill that vacancy, or has it already been posted, or do we have a time frame?
Once this budget's approved, he'll probably have it as soon as.
I've instructed all directors that any, position that's been proposed, if y'all so do adopt as proposed, then to have it ready to go out the next day, which would be September 9th. Go ahead and advertise, even though our fiscal year doesn't start until October 1, that gives time to advertise, interview, and then fill the position.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, are we going back to stormwater?
No, we're gonna continue with water and sewer, if that's okay. That'll be right in order of your books. So wastewater has an operating budget of $3.9 million. They have 11 full-time employees. Capital for them is a compressor replacement at, I'm not sure which plant, but it's $42,000. And then the belt filter press refurbishment at the West plant for $175,000. Tipping fees at approved landfills for the waste that we send from the plants continue to increase, so I've added $20,000 to their disposal line. Maintenance and repair of equipment, I increased it because I'm gonna be asking to change the capital threshold. which means that we'll be capitalizing less items, and more of it will go to maintenance and repair. So that'll be a change in financial policy. We've also added CDL training for some additional employees in this department. And then we're also seeing continued price increases in chemicals and from also possible tariffs. So I've added $53,000 to that line item.
Questions? No questions? Alright, so we're moving on to water.
Clean water.
Well, I'm just making sure, cause I don't know where we came from storm, or where stormwater fits in, but.
It's gonna be at the very end.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Clean Water has an operating budget of $3.5 million. They have 7 employees. That's a 20% increase from the prior year. Most of that increase is gonna be for additional water purchases that are about $435,000. Our revenue will also offset those additional purchases, so, I also gave them additional professional services money for the water and dam assessments. That's an additional $40,000. M&R infrastructure, additional $35,000 for the water reservoir and dam repairs. M&R building, gave him an additional $60,000 to address some structural issues at the water plant. And then utility admin capital, the antenna reading capabilities helps address water loss and conservation for this department by constantly reading meters on this system, and we'll be able to identify leaks quicker. And I'm gonna back up. So in this department, we have 3 capital items. We have the first portion, which is the permitting and the design of a new water plant, budgeted capital-wise at $2.2 million. Highway 61 booster station refurbishment, including a generator, that's $125,000, and then miscellaneous equipment, motors, drives, and pumps, we've given him $100,000.
Councilwoman Conte?
Thank you, Madam Pro Tem. Just 2 questions, Amanda. If the budget's approved with the $2.2 million for new waters or new plants, what is the time frame on the completion of that? Okay, and then my second question, are we gonna need more employees to staff to this? Or we're good with where we are with 7?
For right now, yes.
Yes, for right now, we are good with our current employees in the water department. We are at full staff today,
Okay.
so we're good about that. The $2.2 million is for the design of the water treatment plant. Does not include any construction. That's just for design of the plant.
That's just the design,
Yes, ma'am,
that's disrespectful.
yes. And that is probably, Jennifer and I talked about, that being 18 months to 2 years of design. That $2.2 million will be spread. It won't all be spent in this fiscal year. A lot of it will be spent this fiscal year. Some of it will need to carry over to next fiscal year to complete the design. And the permitting process through the state, we're familiar with the permitting process we've had recently with the expansion of the West Plant and the time frame it takes to do that. This won't be dissimilar to that. There'll also be some extensive time needed for permitting through the state. At that point, we'll put it out on the street for construction. And then we're talking about construction, which will likely be a couple years beyond that. Really, it's at least a 5-year project, I would say, to design and build a new water plant. You're looking at the minimum 5 years.
That's the minimum?
That's my rough guess. It could be 4.5, could be, I don't see it getting done quicker than 4 years, no. I see 2 years of design, 18 months of construction, and then 6 months to wrap things up. So I think 4 years is probably a safe bet.
It's gonna take longer to design it than it is to construct it, you think?
I'm sorry?
Permitting it.
It's gonna take longer to design it and I guess permit it than it is to construct it.
Yes.
That's just crazy. For the
Yes.
unit, I'm sorry, yeah.
Similar to the West Plant, it's
Yeah.
it will take us longer from the time we start with the state until we get approval of a contractor
Right.
than it will be for the actual construction process.
Councilwoman Conte?
Now, thank you, Madam President. Now, because it may take that long, 4 to 5 years, is that gonna impact where we are with the moratorium, with the water supply? That's totally something different, right? Or
Yeah, where we are today per our ordinance strictly speaks to wastewater conveyance and capacity. Our current ordinance does not speak to water availability. Now, the application process includes water availability, but the ordinance, the way it is written, we investigate whether or not we can provide water and or sewer service to an incoming developer. So we do look at both sides when we receive the application from any potential developer to see if we can serve. There are cases where we may not have the ability to provide water service and or sewer service. So really what this affects and what we should focus on is our relationships with our neighbors relative to our intergovernmental agreements on the purchase of water. So that's our next focus for us, which we've been focused on for some time. But we continuously need to look at that because we're gradually increasing the amount of water we're purchasing to supplement our drinking water supply.
Right, and I guess that's my next question, which kind of led into, how does that impact that situation as far as the increases?
We have fairly recently entered into new agreements, I would say within the last 15 months or so, into new agreements with both Carroll County Water Authority and the Douglas County Water and Sewer Authority. We have thresholds with each of those agreements where we can reach out. For example, we reached out to Douglas County recently and we essentially upped our minimum take with Douglas County Water and Sewer Authority. And by doing that, we're able to maintain the same reduced rate. But it does mean we have to purchase that much from them on a daily basis, which we're not having a problem hitting that threshold. So as we continue to grow, we will continue to negotiate with Douglas County and Carroll County Water Authority and discuss how much water we want to purchase from them daily.
Last point, because I'm trying to, because council and individual council members have been questioned a lot lately about Dodger and the water situation, how would that be applicable to us? What would be a fair response pertaining to that question about how we're gonna use the water?
I think the only thing I can
It's a
say.
loaded question. So that's a loaded question.
I'm sorry.
I think-
Not that you're, I didn't mean it that way.
I certainly don't want to speak for mayor and council. My perspective in my position has been and continues to be that I would not recommend providing drinking water for cooling of data centers, for the cooling system, which is a high use in any typical data center. I'm really speaking hypothetically. So with a data center, they have multiple means of cooling their equipment, their servers. Whether it's through electrical use or water use, which is where, when you read in the papers about data centers using 2 and 3 and 4 million gallons a day of water or more, that's because they're using drinking water for evaporative cooling, or water of some sort for evaporative cooling. My position is that the drinking water we provide is strictly for domestic use. And if they want the potential to use water for evaporative cooling, we use another source, but we don't use our drinking water supply for that. We keep our drinking water supply for our community and our residents for that purpose, but not for evaporative cooling. There are other methods that data centers can use, such as the effluent from a wastewater treatment facility. That would be an opportunity for them to use that water for evaporative cooling as opposed to impacting a local government's drinking water supply. That would be a position I'd be comfortable with more so than using any utility's drinking water supply. Let's look at the ordinance they can potentially look at in terms of evaporative cooling.
Understood, thank you.
Madam Pro Tem, may I jump in as well? Also too, I want to concur with John's just stated. Thank you for stating that, because what people don't realize a lot of time as well with these data centers, you hear about the horror stories with the water, but what happened in those situations was there was no negotiation to what John was saying up front. There was neither no development agreement, or the city or municipality didn't know to ask those questions, and they heard money and they jumped in, and then the data centers go in and they do what they, they do what they're gonna do. But to John's point, if we establish those things up front, then there would not be an impact to our water. So a lot of the horror stories that you hear is coming from the fact that those municipalities, they allowed them to use their drinking water and didn't know that they could not, So there's other methods and other innovation right now when it comes to data centers that we can definitely look at and explore.
There's also horror stories, just kind of one-off experiences that you hear about, like, it was, some data center, I think it was in Fayette County or something, some county, maybe it was Forsyth County, but, they were apparently draining the city dry, but apparently it was just an oversight, and they paid for all the water they got. And then the reason the city was being drained dry was some unrelated issue, but the data center got pegged for it. There's some article was floating around 2 years ago, I think, about an issue in Coweta County where the lady's well was affected by the data center, but that was just because, unfortunately, in that construction process, the data center trespassed on her property, and so she's got a civil trespass claim against them. I mean, we just need to make sure that whatever happens with data centers here, that we are inspecting them and we're doing everything we need to do, but even before we get to that point, as Councilman Barr said, negotiating the best possible, most restrictive and safest thing for our community. But
That's the part that no one talks about.
Right.
They talk about the horror stories, but trace it back, something was omitted in that process, so along the way, whether it was the municipality or whether the data center does not disclose and stuff. Not saying that those arguments are not valid, it's just, you gotta trace it back to the root, what actually happened.
Yes, sir. And I think for our position would be, we need to be careful on both the water as well as on the wastewater side as well.
Yeah.
So I think a really well thought out development agreement with any industry that comes in that wants to impact the city to that extent would be much needed.
Yeah.
And so I think the city staff would take all the time they need to make sure we mitigate as much risk as possible.
Yep. Absolutely.
I just had a question. So we are, we're in the enterprise funds section of our budget book, and so is it safe to assume that all of these amounts, whether it's utility administration or water and wastewater, all of this, the funding for all of this is coming from, none of it's coming from general fund, or none of it's coming from SPOS, it's all coming from the enterprise funds, the
That is-
respective enterprise funds?
Yes, that is correct.
So I mean, I have to say, when I was on council in 2019, the fact that our water and sewer fund can fund $2.2 million for the design of the wastewater plant, that was something we were not even, we couldn't even do that. So we've come a long way. And not to have to use general fund money for it, not to have to use SPOS money, to be able to use those funds, and some people would make us agree, but you are, in some sense, robbing Peter to pay Paul. And we've done that in the city of Villa Rica in the past. And to be able to use those general funds and that SPOS money for other projects to serve our community, and be able to say this is strictly a user fee funded improvements. We've come a long way in Villa Rica since 2019.
Yes, so I've heard, and we're gonna keep it that way.
Yes.
Now, the construction of the plant
Yes,
is a
that's a
totally
whole
different
story.
story.
Yes,
We'll have to
yes.
look at different debt instruments that we can, use, in order to fund the construction. But yes, all of the capital, all of the operating, the additional water purchasing, all of that, yes, is strictly funded through the water and sewer revenue. And as Amanda, and the bonds.
The water and sewer bonds.
The bond
we're still
payment.
paying for that West plant, so.
Sorry, that was not it. Yeah, we're still paying for that. But, I forgot what I was gonna say. Sorry.
It'll come back to you. We
Yeah.
can say-
Oh, yes, I did. As Amanda mentioned, you know, right now, we're not proposing any kind of water or sewer rate increase for this year. We will probably be, having Carter and Sloop, who did the initial rate study and analysis, update that analysis in this upcoming fiscal year to
Okay.
see, now that things have changed, we've got new, you know, we're looking at, a new water plant in the near future, we're looking at expanding our wastewater plant. Not that that wasn't factored in before, but we have more updated numbers and the timelines tightened a little bit. We want him to update that analysis to see if, or when, it's not a matter of if, but when rates would need to be adjusted to account for all of that, so that it can stay financially healthy, can sustain itself and not be subsidized, cause we don't wanna go back to that.
Excellent, thank you.
Any other questions? Alright, I believe we're at distribution and collection.
Alright, distribution and collection has a $2.1 million budget. They have 14 full-time employees. Their capital for the year, Elm Circle water line replacement at $215,000. We're gonna add sewer at South Street for $135,000. They want to replace a jet trailer that can get into smaller spaces for $91,000. And then add an additional GPR utility locator so that 2 staff can operate those. And has a cost of $32,000. We decreased their technical line item by $14,000. We reduced their M&R infrastructure just based on trend by $20,000. We're anticipating an HVAC replacement at the distribution location. I think we did that last year too, and it hasn't died yet, so. We have a $14,000 decrease also in contract labor for commercial meter testing.
Questions from council? None? Alright, solid waste.
Solid Waste has a $2 million budget, 5 full-time employees. We're not proposing any capital this year. We've increased the garbage pickup based on current rates and yearly CPI increased by GFL by $175,000. The sanitation RFP is gonna be completed in the fall of 2026. That shouldn't say 2027. We've kind of already had our first meeting on that, and that is moving forward. We've added some additional training monies in the solid waste fund for additional CDLA drivers. In 2026, the street sweeper that the city had under the streets department was transferred to the solid waste department, and they have been using it, as time permits to clean curb and guttering before and after routes are completed.
Excuse me, question, Councilwoman Conte?
Thank you, Madam President. Amanda, so is this particular department at full capacity as far as employment?
Currently, it is not. We, have a position I believe is filled, and, we have, an employee who's out on medical, right now, so, but, hopefully he'll be back soon.
Cause I'm just asking, cause we as citizens have a hard time with GFL.
Well, GFL, cause I was gonna ask you about GFL, you know I was, is contracted, so of course that's not our staff.
Right.
That's- Where are we on the garbage cans being replaced?
I had a meeting with,
Sorry.
them last
Yeah,
week,
you're okay.
and then they also went by and met with Ashley. They're, really kind of giving us some excuses, and I let them know that it wasn't acceptable, but basically, they've they've contracted with a third party to do, some of their, I don't know, in-house stuff with their work orders and things such as that, and supposedly some information's not getting back to, you know, to them like it should be, and, you know, we, had a pretty stern conversation with them, and let them know that, you know, it's just, you know, what's been going on has not been, acceptable. I did have them, deliver, multiple cans to us, so that we could, especially, you know, later in the weeks, you've got people who are moving in, or, you know, you have someone that, I wanna be able to take my trash out on the weekend, you know, I mean, so myself, so, we've been trying to, not do their job for them, but at the same time, we understand, yeah, that we need to be serving, you know, our citizens as well, so, we're hoping to address some things in this new RFP. We're hoping to put some language in there, that basically, the only way I really know how to say it, kind of, I don't know if fines them, penalizes them is the right word, to, you know, to say, within this amount of time, if something's not responded to, then we're gonna penalize you, you know, $50 per occurrence, which, of course, they wouldn't be paying us, we would just be, you know, prorating what we're paying to them. So we're trying to address it, with this new RFP to give us some more, leverage, you know, to be able to try to hold whomever, you know, we award this to, hold their feet to the fire. The good news is the industry, there are some companies that have, that have come on board, you know, for the longest time, it's kind of been just GFL. Of course, we don't know who's gonna be interested in bidding, and we can't make them kind of promises, but, hopefully there are some companies, hopefully we're gonna be a little more competitive.
Well, and
with some
that's
bids.
part of the problem, is if there's no competition for them, then they can give different quality of service to us. Let me put it very nicely. That was nice. Thank you. But yeah, so I'm with you. I'm glad to hear that you gave them a stern discussion, because I honestly, their excuses don't matter, because this has been excuse for 5+ years.
Right.
They need to give us some better service. And
Well, I'll tell you, the last issue that we had was kind of a recurring issue with the same property owner had put in a request to have their trash can replaced because, you know, it was broken. And we escalated it up, you know, actually, and the customer service continued to escalate it. You know, we weren't really getting any response. And this was on a Friday at 5 o'clock, you know, they were kind of promised that they would be getting the trash can. So I called a superior, which, you know, kind of upset our, direct contacts, which I don't care, you know, which kind of prompted them to want to come have a meeting with me to say, hey, if you have an issue, just contact us. And I said, well, we did contact you because we were told there's an operational, email, that we're to send our, you know, concerns to, which is supposed to have all of those parties, you know, are able to see, that way we're not sending to, you know, multiple individual people throughout their, organization. And I said, well, you know, you're supposed to be on that email. And, he said, well, I don't check that one as often as I do my own. And I said, well, that's a you problem, so, you know, because if I continue not to get, any, you know, communication back with you guys, I'm gonna continue to call your, you know, superiors, you know, and immediately they had the, situation taken care of.
See how that works magically.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, I believe that we were at.
All right, so we'll go back to stormwater
Thank you.
here, which will be next in your book, I believe.
I'm looking at someone else.
Stormwater has 2 full-time employees, has an operating budget of $367,000, which is a decrease from 2026 of 10%. Capital for this year, they're adding Boss Jet Max Jetter which is a trailer with a jetter that can clean out storm drains, basically, for $37,000. It's a lot smaller and we'll be able to go in places that the back truck can't go, and, we also don't have to worry about cross-contamination. That's kind of the big reason to add it for stormwater. Notes on the budget, there's a decrease primarily due to the stormwater utility study, which was a one-time expense. That has been largely completed in 2026, and I think you guys will see the results of that at an upcoming workshop. This budget includes required MS4 training for all city staff, or related city staff, I guess. M&R vehicle expense was a little high in 2026 due to a wrecked vehicle. Relocating, they've already relocated, from City Hall to the Avanti building, so they'll be with the whole Public Works team. And then in 27, we're adding iPads, because they're gonna start using, GIS to inventory the stormwater assets and keep up with the maintenance.
Questions? I have one question. I'm gonna address the, MS4 licensing, or I'm sorry, permitting. How many employees do we currently have that are MS4 certified? Two, and they are currently certified.
Well, I know, MS4,
Permitted.
the others are level 1D, the red cards. The red cards really cover all of it, but the actual MS4, I'm one of them, and Sammy is one of them, who's our, is now our, stormwater manager.
I wasn't gonna ask for names specifically, but thank you very much, because
Happy to let you
that's
know.
greatly appreciated.
I'm gonna bring it in here with me.
Hey, start wearing it around your neck.
Yeah.
Now, when you say required training, are we sending additional staff, or are we, renewing?
There'll be some renewal this year, I believe.
Are we sending new, like, staff for new certification?
Currently, we have, so we had a resignation, and then we promoted, and now we're looking to hire, a stormwater technician, and we'll need to evaluate, that technician, what they may possibly have when they come on board, to see if we need to possibly send them, but it's basically there to keep up the current certifications. Sammy and I just, completed ours, was that last week? I think it was last week, on the MS4, so that's good. I think my level 1B red card, which some of this come out of my budget, but, I believe Sammy may need to renew that this year. It could be the following year, but that'll be basically will be for renewals.
So we're looking at having, 2 or 3, cause you just said you were possibly sending an additional employee, so that would be 3 that would be certified?
We don't know if we need to send them to have the actual MS4 certification, or
Or the
if
red
not,
card.
may just need the red card, depending on if they have that.
And the red card covers,
The red card is the original, Georgia Soil Water Conservancy, inspection card that, has always been recognized and required by the state to, inspect, stormwater and storm drainage. The MS4 that is often spoken about, is not a requirement. It is not required for municipality or city staff to hold that. It is an addition that the MPDES has added, for municipalities, because it does cover a little bit more, of the permitting side and the compliance side, that the municipality has to follow, but in all reality, the red card, really, takes care of all the actual needs you have to have.
and that's what's required.
That's what is required.
Okay. And it's you and one other person that has that?
So I have it, Sammy has it, I imagine several, some of Nick's,
just
some
curious
of
at this
Tracy's
point.
folk, no, we have several staff
We
members.
probably have 5 people that's even got their gray card, which lets you also review plans and like the highest level. So yeah, there's multiple people in the city that has at least the red card and up from there.
Okay, no, I appreciate you clarifying that, because, yeah, I never really had an opportunity to discuss that in the public, so I'm glad that we had the opportunity to clear all of that up.
Absolutely.
All right. Councilwoman Conte?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Just a quick question, because the stormwater, for a lot of reasons, have gotten a lot of attention. Having that in mind, or keeping that in mind, is there anything additional that you and your department need from the city to calm those complaints?
I would just say, you know, my request would be to, take some of these complaints, you know, with a grain of salt, and certainly, come to me for, you know, any questions that you have, come to us, so we can provide you, you know, with the actual facts. And because a lot of, what is said and sometimes, mentioned, the language isn't necessarily wrong, but the applications aren't always correct. So, you know, that would be my biggest request on that. Other
So
than that,
there's no additional resources or anything of that you would need from us for, this specific department or area to function at the maximum capacity that it needs?
we're looking at the, so with the stormwater, utility study, that we've been doing, which will wrap up this year. We hope to present some things to council, you know, to possibly help, equip the stormwater department more. Stormwater is one of the, you know, newer, kind of entities within public works infrastructure that's, you know, people have realized they need to pay attention to it. You know, for years, you know, your stormwater, which is part of your roads and streets department, I would say probably, if you go and you look at when a lot of the different permitting and studies and things like that started, well, it's really been the last 30 years to where a lot of attention, or more attention has been put on stormwater, because everything else, it just always kind of fell in roads, you know, type stuff. So it is one of the probably more evolving areas in the public works overall, where, you know, just more resources are coming out, more training opportunities are coming out, more information is coming out to better equip municipalities to handle, you know, their stormwater infrastructure and their compliance and all those things. When you really kind of look at how stormwater got started, when the Clean Water Act first started, their focus was mainly just on sewer, you know, and then they realized, well, hey, we've also got to look at what we're doing with all this runoff, you know, as well. So, you know, the focus for years was on the sewer side, and then the last 30 years to 40 years, but really the last 30 years, the you know, attention's been kind of amped up a little bit on the stormwater side. So I would say what, you know, the city's approach to, you know, being proactive, that like you guys have been, you know, we just ask that you continue to do that. And I appreciate you asking about staffing, today as well. That was a, you know, conversation we had about the stormwater department, and, you know, because we do believe that there'll be a need to expand that department. We want to be able to do more things in-house, but we want to present the stormwater utility study to you guys first, you know, so you have some options for us to look at how to fund some of those.
Okay, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Any other questions? I think you're good this time.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, 2 other things, and we'll try to make it quick. If you will turn to page 2 on your book, very front.
It's in the introduction section.
Yeah, introduction tab, page 2. Page should look like this.
Oh, that's not it.
That's not it. What is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's the last page in that section. Sorry about that.
Okay, we're looking at Roman numerals, so let's get to the.
Okay, yes. Okay, just really quick, we focused on,
It's behind the citywide summary.
yes, ma'am. Just real quick, we concentrated more on the larger funds, we'll look at each column, you'll see the general fund. We've talked a lot about that, answered all y'all's questions. But just wanna let you know that, some of the funds that we don't really touch on, but y'all still need to be aware of and know that there's a budget. Some of those are your special revenue funds. You have both your federal and state seizure funds, which that is what I call your drug money when they do drug busts and everything. There's certain rules and stipulations for each of those two special revenue funds before funds can be expended. However, the Georgia law requires that each municipality adopt a budget for each special revenue fund. So we just put a placeholder amount in there of $1,000. But if any funds need to be used for, out of that fund, it would come before y'all as a budget amendment at that time. We just don't wanna budget any funds in there without, knowing what the expenditure is gonna be and getting approval to do so at that time. We did talk about the East Side TAD, that's just the bond proceeds, from when we borrowed, and this is for the construction of the Villa Rica Parkway. We did speak about the hotel motel tax fund. The cemetery fund, you can see, is being absorbed in the general fund. We did touch on the court technology fee because we said half of the IT specialist was gonna be funded out of the court technology fund. We did touch on our self-funded insurance fund. About our 2 debt service funds. We talked about the debt service on each of those. And then we also mentioned about our capital projects and enterprise funds. But, without bringing up the federal or state or seizure or, let's see, those are maybe the only 2 that we didn't really talk about. Those are the reasons. It's just kind of a placeholder. And then when funds need to be used or want to be used by the PD, it would come before y'all as a budget amendment. Okay.
Councilwoman Fontaine.
Thank you for that explanation. Jennifer, quick question though. So let's say it does come before us that the police need, if it's more than what's, just as a placeholder there, would that be a problem? Okay,
Cause they have it in fund balance.
okay.
I can't remember off the top of my head how much is in federal and state, but they have it in cash and fund balance, and it would just be taking it out of the cash or the fund balance. Okay, last but not least, I'll turn it over to Amanda.
So we need to get back to page 133?
So no, it's actually gonna be under the capital section, page 26. And it's actually pulled up here on the screen also. I talked about in my presentation that the departments filled out budget improvement requests and we had more requested than we funded. So this list shows the full requested amount, which is $14.5 million. And it shows under each department. So I kind of wanted to at least touch on the stuff we didn't fund because we've talked about everything that we funded here. So just really quick, so you've got your requested, you've got how we're funding it, but the last column, that proposed column, if there's not a value in there, then that means we did not fund it. So just going kind of down the list, the city clerk asked for cemetery software that includes some GIS mapping. It's $15,000 up front, and then it has a reoccurring cost of $5,000. Like, we didn't fund that. IT, would like to, add an AV system at North Avenue so that we could use that as an alternate, chambers. That also was not funded, but maybe later at some point. So, continuing on, HR asked for a coordinator. They would love another person. But we are kind of hoping that some of what they were gonna use that other person for, can also be filled by the open records person that the city clerk is getting. That will also support the police department, so.
Okay, so Amanda, real quick, for the HR coordinator, okay, so Tiffany would like to have another employee as an HR coordinator. Can you come up here, Tiffany, and explain exactly what you're needing for that? Cause I know we're doing the open records person, but I initially was looking for you to have this instead of the open records, so explain to me.
Okay, the coordinator would report directly to Danica, my HR manager, and would essentially help take some stuff off her plate. Because we have grown as a department and we're growing more as an HR department that is more involved with the employees and with events. I've taken on a lot of that while she's had to take on a lot of the other administrative stuff. So really just trying to get her a little bit of help and have this person that can focus on doing the pre-employment stuff, doing the orientations, helping set up for events, and then helping with clerical things.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I agree. Cause that's what I was looking for, cause I know when we were looking at this budget and I saw open records, and I get why we would need perhaps an open record, but to me,
So
the
what
staff
you-
is growing dramatically. I agree 100% with what Tiffany's saying, and that's why I was wondering why, cause I did look for that, I was wondering why I didn't see that, cause I knew you needed some help. I just wanna let my council members know, I think we need to look at this, cause they need some help, she needs some help. And I knew that she needed help, before this, so when I was looking at the book, I didn't see it, so when I saw the open record, I was waiting to ask her what was gonna happen with that, because at this point, they're swamped, and if we can, is there a way for the open records to be part of the criteria with this new full-time person?
What we had originally talked about, if we did the open records request person instead of the HR coordinator this year, that they could help me with some of my clerical stuff, depending on who the person is, and obviously they would have to have that level of confidentiality. And they could help me, cause the clerical stuff is really boils down to filing.
Correct.
Is the personnel files. So if they had some downtime, then they could then in turn help me with that clerical aspect.
So let me ask you this, Tiffany, since you are the director of this department. Honestly, if you had a choice between HR coordinator or opening records individual, what do your department need right now with the growth that it's dealing with?
It's a hard position to be in, because I know that she needs it too. But yes, I do think that the HR department could benefit from another person. But do I understand where we're at fiscally? Yes. And do I think that we can last another year working the way that we are? Yes. So I don't feel that mine is a dire need at the moment. I think it's gonna get there probably in the
Soon.
next year.
Yes.
But if this is the position that we're in fiscally right now, to where we can give this open records person, and then I may be able to use them when they have some downtime, we're okay with that.
And
So
can
what
I
I need to
define-
hear from Teresa on exactly what is the purpose of the open records that's a dire need, where we would skip over this right now.
Okay, so, originally, it was the police department that had requested this position. I'm the records superintendent, the records official for the city, per the ordinances, so that's why it was moved underneath me. It is not, everyone keeps saying open records, that's not really what it is. It is the records management specialist. In order to handle records within the police department, you have to have a special certification. So they have a backlog of records that are not, they are in boxes, they are not scanned. There is a specialized way in which they have to be stored. They cannot be put on anything that is cloud-based. There has to be special certifications. And so that is their primary initial function, is to get the police department records in such a state that they are aware of where everything is, especially the archives that are not electronically available and no one is, so officers would have to go in and search a lot of closets and bankers boxes and that sort of thing. The way that open records works in the city is that you have the city open records request. If you go onto the website tab, is what myself or Leanne would fill. If you ask for a police record, then it goes directly to the police department, and the person that has been filling it works within the CID detectives division, and has been also does the crime scene evidence technician work, and that has become increased in volume of what she needs to do. And especially on the police records side, that fulfillment, if it is not done exactly to the letter as it is done, then the Attorney General is very quick to contact. So that is why there is a need on the record side. So I'm not saying that this person is not gonna fill open records, they are, it's just not
Their primary
what you're
responsibility.
seeing from the records that I'm producing or that I'm reaching out to people for. This is the side that is, you're not seeing, because it's coming mainly from attorneys or people that are involved in incidents, accidents, that sort of thing. So that's the specialized difference. They are going to be located, as I understand it, at City Hall, so that they will be working with us. They will be extremely heavy in the police department, of course, at first, to gain their bearings, understand what is going on there, and have that start running. And then we can expand into, we have a records retention, a records repository, Laserfish, that needs to be loaded into, and HR is the second on the list. Right now it was the city vital records had to be in. That is what the scanning project that she spoke about earlier went to, and then Tiffany and HR, which is also another specialized storage for those vital records for the city, would be also worked on. So it's,
I guess my question, thank you for the clarification, Teresa.
You're welcome.
That was important, because did not know all of that it sounds like
yeah,
it's a dire
open
need.
records makes it sound a little different than,
Yeah, it should probably be
The
more
depth.
focused on the records management
Yeah.
part. than it-
I guess my question is, it sounds like both of these specific positions or vacancies perhaps are pertinent for each department. Is there no way
Well,
to at least get a part-time somebody?
Well, let me kind of tell you how this process worked. We're very open as a group. We met week before last to go over the budget. And we sat with this paper right here, or this document right here, everybody had a copy, and we went through it. And each department director knows, every single year, we have wants and needs, or needs and wants, that we can't fund.
Right.
Because money's limited. But what I like about the way that we do it here is we're very open as a group of directors. We get together and we know that there's give and take. And I commend the staff and the directors for giving that flexibility and not looking at just through their lens. So when we got to this position, I, spoke with Tiffany even separately, and I'm very open. Hey, this is not something I'm proposing. We have done some improvements within Paycom that has cost money. that has allowed them some things off of their plate, so we've worked smarter instead of harder on the automation of things that maybe they were doing manually. So I feel like that, yes, and I'm not trying to minimize your need, but I think she would agree that our discussion was there have been things that we've put or invested in the Paycom system that has alleviated them from doing some manual work, which then helps with the bandwidth that they have. So I'm not saying I agree, or I'm not saying that it's not needed. I do think that the records management specialist is needed more at this time, and I think, you know, Tiffany agreed at that as well. And knowing that probably within the next year, just like you've heard other departments, hey, once we get stability, which they don't have stability issues, they have only 2 people. But, you know, once certain things occur, then yeah, as we're growing, each department's gonna have some growth. And sometimes your administrative departments get left behind because they're not out there serving the public per se. Believe me, I know, I've been in the administration side of it in finance, and we kinda get left as the last ones to be filled when things are growing, but I didn't look at it through that lens. I looked at it as, okay, this is how much funding we have. This is a recurring cost, so it's a little different than a capital than to say, oh, let's just pull it out of fund balance, let's fund it. I'm looking, okay. And then knowing that we could use the record management specialist for some of the, not all, but some of the functions that Tiffany's looking for in an HR coordinator regarding the filing or some of the clerical things or administrative things, that we could provide that to her as the position has the bandwidth to do that.
Because my concern is, and I agree with you to an extent, Jennifer, but with HR, she can't control the staff that we continue to bring on to the city. Her job is to maintain it and move it smoothly through, so things are done specifically to her department. And it's only 2 of them. And we got over 200 some staff right now and growing. I don't see us reducting that at all. We're expanding our city and staff, which at the end of the day, that's, you know, her and Danica, God bless them, responsibility. So I just want to make sure that definitely they're not left behind, because I agree, we definitely need to open records, especially, and I thank you, Teresa, for explaining exactly what they do, specifically for the police department as well. That's vitally important, but I don't know, I feel like we're being squished here, and I hate that, because I don't want them to not have what they need specifically because they're HR, and I know the importance of that. Holistically, when you're dealing with over 200 some staff, because that's a lot of people, and a lot of different issues, if you will, that she's dealing with. So I just wanna make sure that we make a note, put a pin in it, that in the near future, we revisit the coordinator, cause she needs one.
Oh, don't worry, it will be asked for every single budget until I get it.
Well, I mean, we're adding how many new employees this time? 7? I wanted to make sure before I said it. So I mean, we're continuing to expand, and I'm sure that next year it won't be just one person that will be hired. We'll have many other positions that we'll also be hiring as well. So I mean, as we continue to grow, we'll have to expand.
Yeah.
I mean,
and you never know our budget too, and what other surprises that we cannot foresee in the future that may require more funding than others. That's what I'm just saying.
no, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And I mean, I believe that the comms department has helped with your workload as well.
They have taken some of the Facebook stuff off me, yes. So
So,
I'm
I
not
mean,
saying,
there's
we're
that.
by no means in a dire need, it would be,
So
it would
it's
be
like a
nice.
yellow flag, like, hey.
Yeah, we're
It's
not,
a good way to put it.
yeah,
It's the
I'm
yellow
not red
flag.
flagging yet.
Okay.
Yes, not red flagging yet, and I definitely think that this
Yeah,
area
that's
is
a
more
red
of a red
I
flag,
agree.
which is why I was like, yep, totally understand, you know, you can mark that off, I'll ask again next year.
Well, and in all fairness, Teresa, how many times have you asked for this position?
Several, yes, yes.
So-
I didn't want to say that, but mine
I
is a
would
red
No,
flag.
I will absolutely be the one to
So
say
I
that.
will say I started working for the city in 2019. In I think in fiscal year 2020 was when a part-time assistant clerk was approved, and I ended up in that position. I worked, so this department was a full-time city clerk and a part-time assistant city clerk. At that time, we had about 99 employees, I believe, within the city, and we worked and worked and worked and got all of the records up to where they were supposed to.
99 years.
We did not have as many pre-COVID as we do now. There may have been a lot of open positions.
But I know that you have specifically asked for this position to be added for at least 2 years.
Yes, so.
Okay, that's my point, is
Since
because.
2022.
I've been asking,
But
but
that-
she started asking first.
That
Since
is
22, the amount of records have
Yeah.
grown
Understood.
astronomically.
Understood. You don't have to sell it now, it's already sold. You're good. But what I'm saying is that Teresa has been asking for this position longer than,
I got you.
yeah.
The police side of the records is actually
Yeah, that's important.
a very
So we'll get there.
scary
I do
portion.
appreciate the conversation about it though.
Yeah, we'll get there. But, and I wanna piggyback off of what, you said, Jennifer, too, is that I like that departments come together and determine what their priorities are. And, you know, I gotta give Tiffany credit, like, to understand that you need this more than I do right now. And hopefully, when your time comes, then other people will be like, you need this more right now. So it's a lot of give and take, and I like that.
And that I cannot express enough. I mean, the Monday before y'all were given the budget books on Tuesday, we had a staff meeting. And it's very open, it's very transparent. There's not like, well, you'll just see it when the budget's presented. No, we encourage dialogue. We want that dialogue amongst each other. So I hear, Amanda hears, John hears the needs of each department when we meet individually with them, but the other departments don't get to hear those needs until we meet together as a group. And to see, you know, comments like what Tiffany, that's what all of them say. Well, okay, it seems like you need this more, or, hey, I understand, hey, I mean, I even heard the statement, hey, you know, if we don't get this, well then, will that help us if we get a cost of living or a merit, because that's what my employees, they want that more than they want XYZ or need this. So yeah, that conversation has already happened. Not saying that y'all's input doesn't matter, by no means, but I just wanted to be on record that that conversation has already happened.
Well, and we don't
Yeah.
know the day-to-day, you guys.
Right.
And for the record, there is a COLA raise, and, there is a merit raise too, so,
Yes.
win-win. Okay.
So in addition to that, I also want to add too, this is one of those situations where operational effectiveness and efficiency comes to play. Meaning, if you all can do it, we recognize that as you see, then we should be doing it as well.
Yeah.
So if Tiffany can say, you know what, I can pull back so Teresa can have her personnel, then our job is to figure out how to get Teresa her personnel, because, you know, she did the right noble thing and made the right decision. And that's what we should be doing as council as well. So I recognize that, I see that, and because my council member colleague brought it up and she addressed it, we're gonna try and figure that out. We're gonna make that happen for both of y'all.
Sorry, Amanda. Get your
No, I just wanna make sure that, I mean, there are other items in here that have not been funded. So, you know, while the budget is still fluid because it's not been adopted, you know, I just wanna make that very point that there are, how much?
Well, and to that point, there is also a customer service representative, item right there for another staff, that if we're going to add one for the sake of she is requesting for help, then we have another one too. So how do we determine as a council which one is more important? We are relying on the staff to determine what is of the utmost importance right now, because that's, our job's not to get into the weeds on that, that's my opinion. Our job is to trust who it is that you're saying, so, what your importance is, should I say. But again, if we're gonna approve one for HR, we have another for customer service that's been requested.
But respectfully, Mayor Pro Tem, they're not the same as far as the need, in the department. If HR is requesting a specific employee for a specific duty within that department, and then we have customer service, we actually have to look holistically at how many, employees are in each department, what does these departments do, and how are they, functioning within the city as far as, pertinence. So that's on a different level. Like, if HR only has 2 people that does HR, and they oversee over 200 and some people, and customer service, I don't know how many they have, let's say they have 3 staff or 4 staff already, and of course, they would like another particular staff member, because you can always do more with more people, I get that. All of that you have to look at strategically and holistically, not just because they're requesting another body.
I think that's
Counsel.
opening a can of worms.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying one is more better than the other, I'm just saying when you're looking at it, and that's, to answer your question, when you say, well, both of them wants another employee, I get that, everybody wants more bodies, but then you would look at other things, that's all I'm saying, if it came down to that, which is not right now.
Well, it hasn't, you're right, it hasn't come down.
Right, it hasn't come down, I'm
but-
just addressing what you were saying.
But I don't know how it, again, I think it's opening a can of worms that.
I'm not trying to,
We don't-
this is.
we
No,
don't
I'm
know.
I'm saying that to hire one staff member over another, when both departments have requested it, but it's been taken out of the budget, or not funded in the budget, then I think if we were to determine that we're gonna, hire somebody for HR, it's opening the can of worms, because how are we to determine which one's more important? And
That's why you
all I'm
ask,
saying.
but that's why you would ask both departments and look at each department and what their needs are and what they're actually responsible for and what their duties are and what they're doing. You would look holistically at both specific departments, you just wouldn't just make a rash decision, that's what I'm saying. You would analyze it, go ahead.
Well, I mean, to both of your points, though, I mean, the issue is that, that's what we're here to discuss today. And one of the issues that maybe we don't have someone from customer service that can tell us what their needs are. And there are, and I don't know, maybe Amanda could, so I don't put words in her mouth, but, I mean, there's arguments, maybe a customer service person, sure, there's more than one, there's more than 2, they have more employees in that department. But they're also a front-facing department in our community, and we don't know what kind of burdens they have. So, yeah, I mean, without doing an exhaustive review of every single thing, line after line, we don't know the answer to those questions. And this is and not to get off topic a little bit, but I do think this is why we do need a council committees that are perhaps, we need maybe more council committees and council committees that are able to dive into the departments a little more in depth, so we're not just doing this once or twice a year for budget or workshops or whatever, but that's a conversation for a different day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, ultimately I agree with Mayor Pro Tem Warmoth that, I mean, you're making ad hoc decisions here, and without the full vetting of everything, you can't say, well, we commit to this, we commit to that, and we'll put that off to the side, we don't know all the factors. So.
And also, just know that if it's not proposed, it's not a negative thing. It's not saying that somebody didn't need either the person or the piece of equipment or the expanded in their operations account, whatever it may be. It's just a matter of setting those strategic initiatives, looking at what those are, setting and matching that up with the budget. And it's not a no forever. It's just in this coming fiscal year, this is what I feel, staff feels as a good proposed budget to the new coming fiscal year. It's not a negative, or something that, we're saying that it's not needed or they shouldn't have asked for that. That's why we left it on there, that, hey, it's more or less to have the discussion, the overall discussion of, that we have $14.5 million in requests, and that's really that's really reduced down to, if they put everything that they wanted or needed, you know, it would just be an exhaustive list, you know. But this was a list that based upon, you know, maybe their top priorities or whatever. Again, not saying it's not important, but it's a matter of math. It's a math formula. And I do agree that, you know, if you start looking at everything of, well, let somebody justify everybody, and I could justify everything on here as why would it be important to do this? But it's not a matter of why, it's a matter of when. Okay, maybe this is important. Maybe it is important to have an HR coordinator, but not just this year. I think we've got some things in place to help that, from helping her with the social media post, taking that off her plate, to helping with putting more investment in the Paycom, to also allowing the new records specialist when, you know, when there's some downtime or however you want to call it, that could help with their filing. I think we've worked all of that out so that it's not just no and maybe next year. It's like, not right now, not this year, but here are some things that we can do so that it kind of helps you along the way and it's a step in the right direction, and maybe next year we can look at funding it. Same thing with the customer service. I mean, you want to talk about, you know, a lot of forward-facing serving the public. We're opening up accounts left and right. We're growing, so that's more accounts that, you know, faces they're going to see, payments they're going to process, you know. But we allowed more time with our part-time receptionists to help and get them start getting them cross-trained up there a little bit more, so that in very heavy times we can use those extra hours that we budgeted for part-time receptionists. They could go up there and work a few hours a day helping customer service. Again, it's testing the waters to see what works instead of just throwing money or throwing a position and saying, hope this fixes all your problems. Let's be resourceful with the funds that we have, and then we can look at it by taking baby steps. And then if the next year we say, hey, okay, we're growing, we need this, we need another customer service rep, or we need an HR coordinator, it allows us to do it that way.
So, we don't have another academy starting until after this one starts in August. We won't have another academy starting until January. So realistically, filling all of these positions in time is gonna be pretty hard next year. Would it help fund that position if we put those two positions half a year out to help fund that? I'm trying to be a team player.
No, and I appreciate it. We have citizens.
But that's me doing it, That's not y'all doing it, that's me doing it. I'm coming up here telling you I'm okay with doing that, if it will help fund another position. I'm just saying, I'm trying to be a team player here and trying to help everybody, so I'm not trying to make nobody mad or hurt nobody's feelings. I'm actually trying to help.
No, and look,
What you guys do is totally up to you guys, but I'm just saying that's all I was doing.
it worries, and this is just me speaking for myself, but you don't have to go anywhere. You can stay at the mic. I was talking to you. Okay.
I'm sorry, what?
I said you don't have to walk away. I was talking to you.
I thought you were gonna talk to them.
I know, I was talking to you. You came up here. Let's talk.
I'm so sorry.
But what I worry about are the citizens. I mean, because the citizens are the ones who are putting out there that we are neglecting your department and we don't have enough officers. And they're right, we don't have enough officers because we have a lot of vacancies. So, I mean, it's definitely something for council to think about, with, offering to take away the 2 additional, but
Well, I'm
I
not
definitely
taking them away
have,
completely, I'm saying let's put them off to a half a year.
Yeah.
Or in the budget
Right.
cycle, and that's two positions that would add up for one for Tiffany, I mean, is that?
but what does that, and I think that that's something that we can have a discussion
You
about
still
before
got to pay her
adopting.
the second, pay that employee the second half.
That's
but
right.
That's something that, you know, it's just a thought. But I mean, I'm the one that brought it to you guys, y'all didn't see what I mean? So I mean, I'm the one that falls on, I'm the one that came and volunteered that.
Well, hang
so.
on, I didn't record it.
Well, it's recorded, it's on there, yeah.
I concur, that's a good resolution.
Well, again, my same concern, and listen, this is just discussion. I'm not, just, if we're going to add this position, then what about the customer service? I just really have a hard time with us as council members. I mean, this is kind of getting into the day-to-day operations. Who are we to say which department needs the help and which department doesn't? And I understand your point about knowing the departments and what the jobs are, but really and truly, that's not our job. Our job is not to be involved in the day-to-day operations of the city, and we are relying on departments to tell us what it is that they need. And the budget cuts are made, and solutions are being given for temporary solutions. I don't know, I'm having a hard time with, if we do one, I feel like we have to do the other, because who are we to sit here and say which department, which people need the help the most?
Well, I see it, I see what you're saying, but I also see that they're offering a solution. And they, as you mentioned, they know best. So the solution that they're offering, it works for them.
For one position.
For one position,
And
yes.
we don't have anybody here that represents.
Mhm.
I can speak for customer service. The reason that, I would have said that we probably didn't need this is we don't know what's gonna happen with our trash. We know we're going out for RFP, so right now they're taking a lot of phone calls because of GFL.
See?
And it is overwhelming, but if we
That's
get
not gonna stop, by the
if
way.
we get a new vendor, then it's very likely that, especially if there's repercussions, as Josh said, that would help with some of those phone calls. Also, we're adding the 2 antenna meter readers. So customer service has 3 customer service people and then 2 meter readers. If they're not having to drive out and read meters and we can read them from the building, then their time can be reallocated to help with the customer service position. I agree that, I've got some solutions for customer service. We also, like Jennifer said, we have the receptionist. We bumped their time up to the 0.7 where they're only working the 0.5 right now. And we can do that and they can help support customer service. They're already trained up there. We cross-train them up there so that we have that extra bandwidth, so.
I mean, I'm not committing one way or the other right now, but I would like to have further discussion. One-on-one.
Well, I was gonna propose, why don't we just kind of let, Jennifer work with staff on some of these ideas and just kind of revisit it, and then maybe she can reach out to us individually, or, I don't know, when's our next budget hearing?
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday in a week, and then are you expecting adoption that evening, or we have one more hearing?
Oh.
No,
Yes,
the
we still have
next
another-
Tuesday
we have
would be
a ways to
military
go.
adoption, and then you would adopt the budget on the regular meeting on September 8th.
Right.
Yeah, so we got a little bit of time, so I mean, maybe you can just let staff go back to the drawing board to see if they can address some of these thoughts, instead of us kind of create something right now.
I agree with that.
Did you start on this?
No, you didn't. No, and I don't want it to come across that way at all. This is your first budget with Villarica, you know. But I also wanted y'all to know that there has been discussion, but we can continue the further discussion and make sure our I's are dotted and T's are crossed. But that is part of the budget process. It's more than just numbers, it is discussion, it is coming up with a plan so that we have reasons for the spend and reasons for the no. And like I said, sitting in this position right now, the no is not a no forever, it's just not this year. This is just not the time. Let's look at it next year, or let's look at it mid-year. Let's, if something drastically changes, I mean, we are all, have to make decisions sometimes when we expect one thing and then something else happens. Same thing with the budget, but the way that things are now, this is what was proposed is based upon the way things are now and how we expect them to be. But if something changes and, we need to come before y'all and, say mid-year and say, hey, XYZ changed and we need to add the HR coordinator now, y'all can be like, oh yeah, I remember that from the budget, okay. You know what I'm saying? At least it starts the discussion. It doesn't necessarily mean, or it could, it doesn't necessarily mean that if we discuss it, we gotta fund it now. It's just on your radar now. So if something comes up in 6 months from now and we find that there's a need for that or customer service or whatever else, then you're aware of it and we've discussed it before.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, basically, you all know best, and then you bring it to us. Our job is to solve problems and make decisions. So that's bottom line, the best solution. Reallocate resources if you have to, or you make adjustments so you figure it out, and then you bring us back, what you feel is best. Mm-hmm.
So just to clarify, next Tuesday at 6, when we have that meeting, that's where you're gonna let us know about this situation?
Yes. Yeah, that will be we have the millage rate public hearing number 2 tonight at 6. Then we have next Tuesday at 6 o'clock, we will have public hearing number 3. And then following that public hearing number 3, you can adopt the millage rate. And then we can have a budget workshop where I can give you an update after the discussion with staff regarding this. And any other questions you
We
may have.
also have a public hearing on the budget.
And we have a public hearing on the budget. So it'll be a short presentation that Amanda will give, and then we'll have any citizens that would like to make any public comment.
Sounds good. All right.
Hmm?
Yes.
That's up to y'all.
Well, I'm not gonna miss it, so it'll be short.
Oh my goodness, it's not a
just
question
joking,
meeting,
I'm
you're
just
good.
joking.
All right, any other questions, comments? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
See you at 6.